Fox 4's John Holt is here with what our investigation learned that may surprise you. John?
Yeah, Phil, Abby, what we learned is that the world's oldest profession is preying on the youngest victims. And this business of old demand meets teen supply is hitting closer to home than you might think. In fact, right here, right now, in places your kids hang out. A booming billion-dollar sex-for-hire industry is an economics 101 lesson in supply and demand. The demand for sex needs a supply of victims. From shopping malls to schools to social media, the hunt is on.
Students are just commodities to be sold.
Russ Tuttle heads up the Kansas City-based Stop Trafficking project.
There's a misconception in the greater Kansas City area amongst adults. They think that sex trafficking of children means a white van pulls up onto Troost Avenue, grabs a girl off, and she disappears and is tied up to a radiator somewhere being raped for profit. That is not what's happening.
I come from a good home, very loving home.
In a major city suburb, Janine Montgomery admits at 13 a friend talked her into a house party where a 20-something targeted her for grooming, flirting, questioning, softening.
He got every bit of information out of me that he needed to hold over my head for the next 4 years, okay? In that short conversation, and then he raped me.
And so began 4 years as that commodity, trapped by fear of his threats on her family, then by addiction to medicate her secret life.
There are house parties like the one that I was raped in, where men were there, and I was expected to service them all night long. And my traffickers always had me home before school the next day.
A far-fetched story happening somewhere else? Think again. And Russ Tuttle says look no further than metro malls, where bad guys troll for young prey to befriend and groom. Or a website catering to sex on demand in Kansas City.
New in town, come visit me, 18. Okay.
That's a sign of, in your view, human trafficking.
In my view, and she's being moved around quite a bit.
I think it's happening in every city in the country.
Cynthia Cordes had a hunch in 2006. As an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting child endangerment cases, she saw sex trafficking red flags here and helped Trafficking Rescue Project. Federal, state, and local agencies teaming up, yet in some cases skeptical. Then FBI Special Agent Chris Budke admits he was.
It would not necessarily be something that would justify a large, unified, continuous effort by the law enforcement agencies.
And what happened?
Well, I was wrong.
A trickle of early cases triggered a flood of tips, leads, more victims.
We have victims from Johnson County, and we have victims coming out of all of the areas in the Kansas City community. The beasts know how to locate their specific targets and identify things about them that they can then exploit.
Locating, exploiting innocent victims simply shopping at metro malls or surfing the web. Painful encounters for even a federal agent with 3 daughters of his own.
There were times, though, when what I saw affected me more deeply than
you realized?
Yeah.
Even to this day?
Yeah.
Cordes joined Hush Blackwell in 2013 and launched a law firm clinic to help rescued trafficking victims nationwide with free legal help. Budke followed as an investigator.
But certainly when someone is physically sold into sex trafficking, that trauma continues for the rest of their life.
Who has scenario number 3?
Russ Tuttle and others educate teens and parents on avoiding that trauma. Recently, a dozen young girls lined up to meet him.
And every one of those 12 girls had some story of being in the grooming process.
Janine's traffickers eventually moved on to groom younger victims. Now married and in the area, she too shares her painful story to educate and warn.
Trafficking is no respecter of persons. It can happen anywhere.
Kansas City?
Kansas City? Absolutely.
In our investigation, the experts we talked to pointed to signs you can look for that may signal a problem for your child. They include the influence of a new older friend who's providing expensive gifts or worse, drugs and alcohol. We've posted links to resources at fox4kc.com. Meantime, the U.S. House and yesterday the Senate approved bills to boost law enforcement tools to target sex traffickers and create a new fund to help victims. The president is expected to sign a final measure. John Holt, Fox 4 News, working for you.